From Cali to Tally, it's time to wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source, and this is Wake Up War Chant. Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hudjavandi and Corey Clark.
Wake up! New week! Same guys, same programs. Wake Up War Chant. I'm Aslan, Corey Clark here as well. Use the promo code WarChant30 to become part of the WarChant.com family if you're already not a member. 30 free days of access. That'll last you well through the upcoming National Signing Day. We'll have Michael Langston on later to break things down. 11 official visitors last weekend. Corey, that's a big number, as you know, in the Cruton world.
That's a huge number.
Yeah.
What do you think? What are they looking to hit? About 50% out of those final 11? I mean, I know you can't hit exactly 50% unless one kid just commits to spend half his time at Tallahassee. But, you know, you're looking at five or six probably?
Golly, you sure hope so. Yeah. I mean, this is one of those big final pushes, man. You got to start getting stuff done. I don't think anybody committed, which has a whole bunch of people on edge.
Yeah, well, no, take that back. They got a kicker.
Oh, did he commit?
The kicker committed, yeah.
All right, very good. Ryan Fitzgerald from Colquitt County, from Moultrie, represent. Welcome to the family. They needed a kicker. He's important.
Yeah, kickers are important.
He was actually
they can't depend on Aguayos forever.
Yeah, he was actually one of the guys that I interviewed. I went and helped Michael Langston out on Sunday. I helped him out on Sunday. And, I mean, there's 11 guys. 10 of them actually spoke to the media throng that was waiting for them out front in the Moore. The one young man who didn't, he simply declined to speak, and that's his modus operandi, his MO. He just doesn't like talking to the media. But I was there.
Who was that?
The Washington kid, the offensive lineman from West Pensacola that's committed to Mississippi State.
Okay.
Yeah. He was kind of out, though. They were like, hey, would you like to speak? He's like, no, sir. And he just kept walking. It was fine. I don't.
All right, yeah, that's no problems there. He was courteous, it sounds like, and polite. So,
yeah.
And, man, it is crazy. Like, I know most kids love that stuff. Like, they will, a lot of them, at least initially early on, will kind of keep other schools in it just because they do like to talk about it. I mean, who wouldn't when you're 17 or 18, seeing all these people begging you to come there and feeling like a big shot and talking to recruiting reporters. But, man, that's a deal, man. That takes a lot of time, and there's a lot of people that just aren't comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
Like just in life, there's people that aren't comfortable talking in front of microphones and cameras. It's weird if you've never done it before. It's got to be really strange.
Yeah.
So that's his prerogative. Doesn't mean he's not coming to Tallahassee. Just means they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. But, dude, Langston and those guys were out there grinding since literally 7 in the morning, all the way up until 5 o'clock. The last guy pretty much left at 4:50 or like 4:45. It's crazy.
Nope. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. God love them.
Yeah.
They're doing the Lord's work. But there's just no chance I could just camp out.
Yeah. So, again, we'll have Michael Langston on to talk about that. Can I go ahead and just burst everybody's bubble on a Monday, Corey, or do I need to be positive still? We went 3 minutes, and I was somewhat positive.
I feel like you can stay positive at least for a little longer.
Okay. Let's talk about the basketball game then. 78-66 winners. Big road win for the Noles, taking down Miami in Coral Gables. I had the game on, but was kind of running around the house, buttoning up some of the stuff I was working on with the Cruton. It seemed like the game was kind of close in the first half, and then did they go on some sort of big scoring binge or something to close out the first half?
Well, they did. They went on a 15-0 run.
Okay, that'll do it.
To give themselves whatever it was. I guess it was 15-1 because Miami hit a free throw with like 15 seconds left. But, yeah, the 15-0 run before the free throw gave them an 18-point lead. The big story, man, is, look, Trent Forrest and Terrence Mann, I don't know if they can get right. You know, I just don't know if Trent Forrest, and in fact, even Corey Alexander, who, by the way, I know Raycom announcers don't get a ton of love. I don't even know if it's Raycom anymore, ACC Network, whatever we call him. That dude is dialed in, and he's awesome. He is a really good analyst. If people don't remember it, I think he played at Virginia.
Correct.
Maybe around the turn of the century, and played in the league for a little bit. But that guy is dialed in. He seems to have relationships with every staff and really knows what he's talking about. But anyway, he was just talking about When Florida State can hit threes like that, it's remarkable. But he also said that Trent Forrest told him before the game, he's like, look, this is something that really can't get better until after the season.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer, because if Florida State can shoot like that, and obviously they're not going to hit 60% of their threes the rest of the way, but MJ Walker he is a good shooter. Not should be, and he should not be a streaky shooter. If he's open, he's the kind of guy that can knock him down. He's the kind of guy that can hit 6 threes in a game, or 7 or 8 or 4 or 5. He should be that guy, and he shot with a world of confidence in that game. Hit 6 threes, had another one where his foot was on the line, made both his free throws, just looked like a different kid than the one we've seen. And it always helps when you see that first shot go in. Well, he went 6 of 7 from 3. He has that in him. But if you could have a healthy Trent Forrest with that, man, I'm telling you, it's a definitely like a Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four caliber team. I don't know, even as well as they played Sunday, if you've got a 70% Trent Forrest who can only explode and really create havoc every now and again just because he's the turf toe, I don't know what their ceiling is. It just seems like such a bummer, because they have some parts. And you watch a game like they had on Sunday night, man, where they shoot like that, and they really defended well. They got out on Miami's shooters and forced some really tough shots. If they had Forrest, who can control the game at both ends, and a healthy Terrence Mann, who's just a really good college basketball player when he's healthy, man, that's a different team. So now he gets a week off before they play Georgia Tech on Saturday. Hopefully he can get up to maybe 80%. I don't know how turf toes work. I don't know if eventually he'll just need, like, the only way to really recover is to stay off it for a month. But, man, if he could get close to 100%, Trent Forrest I'm talking about, this team could be really, really good, because they got guys that can knock it down, and he gets it to them when they're shooting well, and he makes such a difference on the defensive end too. As it is, I look at him to still be maybe a 500-ish type team in the ACC. But if they had him, they could fight for the top 4 in the conference, and certainly be a high seed in the tournament if he was 100% healthy. Still, all that said, and that was a lot, it's a big win for them to go on the road. They haven't done that much here lately. They were 4-17 in their last 21 road games in the ACC. So for them to win like that, and the lead never dipped below double digits in the second half, they kind of controlled it really for the last 25, 28 minutes of that game. MJ Walker's shooting like that. Cabangeli just doing what he always does. That was a nice road win for them, a team that really needed one.
That's the concern, though, is the fact that, and I asked Leonard as much on Friday before they headed out of town, was how much of Terrence and Trent is them, getting healthy, like playing through it and getting healthy. Like, I've always wondered, like, kids will be coming off surgery, and coaches will talk about, they'll work back into game shape and they'll get healthier as the season goes on. Like, I can understand getting in game shape. I've never understood how in any sport you get healthier as the season goes on. And Leonard pretty much, and either is it one of those things where you're going to hope that somehow they can get healthy as the season progresses, or will they just have to learn how to play with that pain? But he shot it down. He's like, we don't know if it's going to be something they're going to have to deal with all year long. We just hope they're going to get healthy, at some point this season. So maybe there's something to where, they don't have another game until what? Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, I think is the next game they play?
Saturday, really?
Yeah,
Saturday they play Georgia Tech at noon.
Oh, all right, well, that's better. I thought they were actually playing on Super Bowl Sunday at noon. I'm like, that'd be a bummer.
No. So they still get whatever that is. They get 5 full days off without where you would think that Trent Forrest is not putting a lot of strain or stress on that toe, and can heal a little bit.
Yeah. So I guess that's the hope, right? And then maybe if the double bye or whatever for the ACC tournament's out the window, maybe some of these games, maybe they just kind of start sitting them towards the end of the season if they feel like their tournament chances are pretty solid. But that's something we'll have to monitor, obviously. But again, 78-66. Going on the road, winning like that. I was joking with Michael Langston while we were camping out for the recruiting stuff. He's like, yeah, Florida State. Is it a 2 o'clock game or 6 o'clock game against Miami? He's like, it's 6 o'clock and they're favored by 3. I'm like, oh, they're not going to cover. They never cover. And then they go ahead and blow the doors off Miami. So good teams win, great teams cover, Corey. So,
that's right, buddy. And that's two games in a row I believe they've covered. And I think it's those last 2 games, and it seems too much. It seems like too I don't know, dumbed down to just say if they shoot well, they're going to win. But in these last two games where they both won, they were 22 of 42 from three. Obviously, for the non-math majors, that's over 50%, because 22 of 44 would be 50%, Aslan, and they're 22 of 42. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking that's right around maybe 52%, 53%.
Close.
But either way, if they're going to shoot 50% from three, Miami obviously had no chance. And there will be a lot of teams that will lose to Florida State if they shoot like that from three. They will not continue to do that, but they're also not the kind of team that goes 2 of 22. That's nuts as well. They're the middle is where they live. But it was also good to see Kofor play some. Hit 1 3, didn't do a whole lot else. But again, that's just another good shooter, another body out there. Obviously, Kabengele is their best player. And then I don't know. The second best player on the team, it depends on the night. Kabengele is always there. That guy's just he is playing himself into and they talked about it again on the broadcast. He's playing himself into a legit NBA draft pick. Like, scouts are going to come starting. Usually they watched him. There were a lot of scouts at the Duke game, or there were scouts at the Duke game. I don't necessarily think they were there to see Kabengele, and then he goes off for 24 or whatever he is. They're going to start showing up just to watch Kabengele. And he is a third-year sophomore. It'll be interesting to see at the end of the year what his stock looks like, and if he thinks about doing that. I think if he came back for a junior season, you're looking at an all-ACC first-team guy. But again, that's easy for me to say.
Right.
If he's going to be drafted, golly, he does everything. He still has some. He still does some stuff that makes you shake your head occasionally, and he still picks up some silly fouls. But more often than not, man, that guy's the best player on the floor.
Yeah. Hey, what happened to Kumaji getting ejected? I didn't see it.
Nonsense. My man's 7'4". He goes to block out. Again, Corey Alexander, give that dude praise, man. That guy's, I just really like him a lot. It dawned on me when I was listening to that game. I don't get to watch him a ton because I'm at the games that he's at. But, man, he's just good. But anyway, he pointed out, too, he's like, man, it's not fair when you're 7'4", and you go to do what everybody else does for a normal block out, but your elbow happens to be chin high on a 6'9" guy. Where everybody else, that would be getting him right in the chest. And it wouldn't be an elbow to the face. Because he's so tall and he turns to block out, he pops the guy in the chin. And I didn't have a problem with the call as like a flagrant, because he did. That's kind of the letter of the law. If you elbow a guy, even if it's not intentionally, it's 2 free throws. But they called it a flagrant too, which means he did it intentionally, which was just dumb. It's just a dumb interpretation of that rule, because he didn't. He wouldn't have played a lot the last 5 minutes anyway because of free throws. But still, it's just dumb. My man getting penalized because he's 7'4". Hey, Miami guys, quit being so short.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, their 5'7" kid who was terrible in that game, by the way. He was 0 for 12. He's their leading scorer. He was 0 for 12.
Yeah.
Scored 1 point. He drew 4 offensive fouls just because he's small. And when a big guy runs into him, not picks him up and throws him, just makes a move towards the basket. He flies backwards like he's been shot out of a cannon. Yeah. And they're going to call it every time, and it's just because he's small. So that tells me that Leonard Hamilton needs to start recruiting a bunch of 5'5" kids, 5'8" kids.
Can I be negative yet, or do I still need to be positive?
Well, and also in about 8 years, there's going to be a kid named Brady Clark coming out of, I don't know what high school up in Georgia, maybe Mill Creek up in Georgia. He's probably going to average, I would guess, 3 or 4 points a game at Mill Creek, but he'll be about that 5'9" range where he can draw a lot of offensive fouls just by getting pushed around.
No, don't listen to him. Don't listen to him, Brady. You're going to grow. It's going to be all right, man.
Man, if he could be 6'2", holy moly.
Watch out. Watch out.
All right, yeah, hey, man, by all means, let's go negative.
All right. Florida State got a graduate transfer on the offensive line. Do you see that?
I don't feel you could be negative about this, right? You put it in its proper perspective, right? This guy he didn't even start at Northern Illinois, right?
Right.
Yeah.
His name's Ryan Roberts. I'm sure he's a good human being. He's 6'6", 297. He actually plays tackle, which they need tackles, right? Plenty of guards, but they need tackles. I find it just curious, kind of, the blind optimism. Everything's going to work out, right? No matter what happens when you're a fan, Miami does this, you laugh at them, you do it, it's going to work out. It's going to be okay. Hopefully it will be. But I did pull him up on Pro Football Focus. Who's the most maligned offensive lineman from 2018 that, besides Jawan Williams, because Jawan Williams just, he barely played.
Besides Jawan Williams,
Yeah.
he didn't barely play. He played like half the season.
Man, he played how many snaps? Let me look at this. How many snaps? He played like 175 snaps and pass. Yeah, all right, okay, fine. He played 290 snaps.
Yeah, well, so that's a third of the season. Abdul Bello, I guess.
Whatever. All right, fine. Well, let's go. Let's just totally turn this thing on its head. Let's go positive. This guy's substantially better than Bayvion's name's in front of me right now, than Jawan Williams. All right, so look at that. Corey just changed my mind. Great addition by Willie Taggart and the offensive staff to bring in a guy that's got Division I experience, a good frame, and, rock and roll. I mean, he graded out at 39.9 on pass blocking.
Oh, boy.
That's better than
Not
Arthur
many.
Williams, Bayvion Johnson, Brady Scott, Jawan, and Abdul.
Yeah, but aren't they like 5 of the worst in the country?
Hey, man, make up your mind, Corey. Am I being the positive guy, or can I be who I am?
I think sorry, I think the deal with this is
I'm being facetious for sure. It's a body
out at 39 in pass blocking.
Yeah, 39.9. He's actually gone down every single season. In 2016 he graded out 72 in pass pro. 2017 he graded out at 50, and then this past season he graded out at 39 in pass blocking. His run blocking was at 63, which is better than most of the guys from Florida State. So his run block is encouraging.
Just a body, right? Some experience. I don't know what that tells you about who they're getting, like who they think they're getting for the rest of this class. But again, they're kind of following. They might sign 3 more linemen, maybe. They're hoping
something like that. Yeah, this Kamar Bell kid and the kid from Pensacola, and I think they still might try to get that Proctor kid from Virginia, the grad transfer. I don't think he's committed yet. So yeah, they're still in the market for 3 or 4 guys.
So you're looking at you're adding. You lost 1, 2 maybe, and you're adding maybe 4 to 6. Again, you're just as my position all along has been, man, just throw as many bodies as you can at it. Maybe this kid can play. Maybe. I mean, probably not. He only started a couple of games at Northern Illinois as a redshirt junior, so that doesn't give you a lot of warm and fuzzies that he's going to come into at Florida State and be a difference maker. But you throw bodies at it. See if you can find 5 that work together. Again, the goal isn't to be a dominant offensive line. It's not even to be a good offensive line. It's just to be not inept. It's to be competent, mediocre. The hurdle is not a big one that you're trying to clear. So you throw bodies at it.
Okay. Yeah. Again, I'm being facetious. It's just you see people post awesome. This guy's got experience. He's played in the battles. He's got a good frame on him. Awesome. And it's just let's hope for the best, but let's also brace for nothing earth-shattering to occur in terms of a change by adding.
Well, and I'd also say the same thing about the Dante Lucas kid, who by all accounts is really good and gonna be good. Man, you ain't expecting him to be a difference maker in year 1. That's really hard to do. Even in 2019, as these kids come in bigger and more ready to play right away, to think a guy in the middle of the line is going to be a difference maker, even start. I think to me that's a pretty big assumption.
Hey,
but
how many
in a year or two? It's just throw bodies at it, put bodies in there. Again, we've talked about it a lot. Offensive line is the hardest thing to evaluate. You hope that if you bring in 6 guys, 2 or 3 of them can really play. That's what you hope. That's the percentage. 2 guys are like good. Maybe one's an NFL guy, and you just keep throwing bodies at it each year in recruiting, and eventually you get 5 guys that can really play is what you hope for.
How many so Boise State, let's say like Coleman Minshew and Landon Dickerson maintain their health throughout an entire offseason and preseason camp, which is not a certainty.
Sure.
How many new guys you think are starting against Boise State that weren't, starting or even really playing in 18 of the 5?
I mean, I would get, man, it really, to me, it depends on what they do with Dickerson. Are they going to keep him at tackle? You would think that, I think he's a natural guard. I think he's good as a guard. It would seem like I would want to move him back to his natural position at guard and then find 2 guys that can play tackle. But I get it. I get why you wouldn't do that. But if that's the case, if they move him to guard and have Minshew at the other guard, then you're probably looking at a new center and maybe 1 new tackle.
Yeah.
Right? So 2. I think you'd set the over-under at 2. And I don't know who the center is going to be. Is it going to be Brady Scott? Is it going to be Big Baby? Going to be a new guy. Who knows?
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's some people in some corners of the fan base and such, I think, that are almost bracing for like 5 completely different people to be starting.
Switch it up, man. I'll be honest with you, I think Marvin Wilson should play both ways.
Yep. All right.
I think he should be a guard. He would be a road grader. You just follow him to freedom. I'd put him at fullback sometimes. I'd have him play. Hey, you have Tamorrion Terry, a gunner on punt coverage, and he's your best offensive player. Well, take your best defensive player and let him play an extra 25, 30 snaps a game too.
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Know what I mean? He can handle that.
Yeah.
Man, Marvin Wilson would be an awesome guard.
He can do
Kid can move, quick feet. He's powerful. Put him at guard and just see what happens. And he has a chance. I think if you play a guy both ways in 2019 on the line of scrimmage, man, he's going to be an All-American, has a chance to be a Heisman candidate. Make it all happen.
All right. I'll run it by Odell. I got to
see what if he likes that idea.
I got to see Kendall Browse yesterday. That was kind of cool. He's here. I saw him.
Oh, did you? Were you just hanging out at the house in the neighborhood? He's neighbors with you, right? Don't you live in that same neighborhood?
No, not yet. Oh. But he was there because I was at the Moore Center camping out with the Cruton stuff or whatever. He's already got his new truck.
Oh, boy. Well, he's a Texas guy, isn't he?
Yeah. Now I'm saying he's already using that stipend, but I'm pretty sure he's that $650 man. He's using it. He's using it.
Obviously, don't give out the license plate or even really what kind of truck it is, but what color is it? And is it nice?
The tag is Go Fast, but there's no A in the Fast. It's just GOFST.
Oh, is it really?
No. That'd be awesome if it was, right?
I was going to say, just give his license plate out on air.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. I did give out DeAndre Francois' address, though. Sorry about that, DeAndre. Hope we can work it out. It was cool, though, because we're inside the Moore Center. They were actually merciful enough to let us sit inside the Moore Center because it was pretty cold out, at least for Florida standards on Sunday. And once the recruit is about to exit his visit, first, all the assistant coaches will kind of come out and wait around the Moore Center for him to he'll be let out he'll come out with his family and like a grad assistant or some sort of chaperone. By the way, Greg Fry was there. Greg Fry was shaking hands, hugging mamas, dapping up kids. Again, hard to imagine that he's not going to be a coach on this staff for the 2019 season. I'd be shocked. Again, if he's this involved in recruiting. Right. So he was there, accounted for and everything. But yeah, Mark Snyder's talking to Harlan Barnett. A couple assistant coaches are, texting on their phone. So was Kendall Briles. But then Kendall Briles started kind of weaving around and was looking at all the displays that we have in the Moore Center because there's the 3 national titles. I don't think the Heismans are in there anymore. Are the Heismans up in the football office? The Heismans aren't in the main foyer. Or whatever.
Yeah, then they'd be. Yeah, they're up there in the football office. Yeah. Which, by the way, I wish that was kind of open to the public too, because that's a pretty awesome little scene in that football office. There's a lot of stuff in there.
Oh yeah. So he's there, but it was kind of cool to see him because I saw him. He was reading the description about the 2013 national championship team, and I'm like, yeah, read it, Kendall. That's what
read it. Soak that in, buddy.
That's the standard.
Bring that back.
That's the standard. If you don't get it, then you got to hit the road. That's how we work around here.
Hey, man, you can reach for the stars and still land on the moon.
Yeah.
Is that a saying, or did I just make that up?
I think so. Isn't that what Casey Kasem used to say on his Top 40 show? Keep your feet on the ground and
probably.
Keep reaching for the stars or something.
Something like that.
Yeah. Anyhow, we're meandering through a show that we don't have a lot to talk about. We've kind of maxed it out. I'll bring Michael Langston on here in a minute. But I guess before we go, we've playfully poked fun at the fact that Florida State's biggest athletic benefactor is a guy who really has not a lot of ties to the university itself, whether it's being an alumnus or being from Tallahassee or being from Florida or having attended Florida State. But over the weekend, Al Dunlap did pass away. It's a huge loss for the Florida State community because, again, he is the largest sort of the benefactor for the athletic program. I'd be remiss to not at least, pay homage, I guess, to the man, right, Corey? Because in this day, and I think, actually that number was accurate, Corey. There's actually less than 15,000 boosters for Florida State in the entire country, in the entire world.
Man, that is crazy. That seems like an outlandishly low number.
Yeah, and it's been dipping ever since we won the national title, which is bizarre. But
Don't
I think
they graduate like 8,000 or 10,000 people a year at least?
Yeah.
Right?
Listen,
it's like 40,000 that go to Florida State. You'd think 15,000 is the whole boost. They got to, all right.
I'm not bragging about this at all. I'm not proud of this. I'm not ashamed of it either. But, I would say that between myself and my brother and his friends and my friends, I probably know at least, I know I have 30 close people that I know that went to Florida State. None of us are boosters. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah, I'm not proud of it. But I'm not going to tell people to spend their money on that unless they want to sign up for a membership to War Chant.
Sure, you do that first and then think about a booster membership. But War Chant obviously is the first priority.
Right.
I think everybody agrees with that.
But
that's just that seems like a low number. Again, we would never tell people how to spend their money. That's why I never really talk poorly about low attendance at a sporting event when I'm paid to be there. Yeah. Just to me, that seems like a low number. But again, I might be speaking completely out of the old whatever. I won't even finish that sentence. But because maybe Auburn's is like 15,000 and Alabama's is 15, maybe that's normal across the country to just have that few boosters. That just seems like a pretty low number to me when you have an 80,000 seat stadium.
All right, well, let me get to the point then. So Jerry Coots
sure.
point out the fact that this has been happening everywhere. They've braced for it. But the thing is, while the numbers have dwindled in terms of your boosters that pay between like 500 and 300, the top half of the boosters, your top 1% of 1% or what have you, has actually grown. And they're the ones that obviously provide the meat and bones, the money that basically the university is so fortunate to have. And again, man, Al Dunlap, this dude, I still don't even know how it happened. I know he supposedly met Bobby at a function or something, befriended Bobby Bowden. But dude,
I think he spoke at a business class.
Yeah, I like Bobby Bowden a lot too. Yeah, he did speak at business class at Florida State. But dude, whoever got, and I hate to talk about him in this way. The man passed, he has a family and everything. But for whoever Florida State was able to, put his arms around him, to make him put his arms around this university is amazing, because I can't imagine where Florida State would be if a guy like him didn't step up to the plate with huge donations. So, rest in peace to that man, and hopefully his family. I'm sure they're obviously taken care of, but just thought we at least need to mention that because.
Sure, and people that know, I don't want to sound disingenuous, because I think people that have followed me for years on Twitter or on the various platforms that I have, I've said some not great things about how Al Dunlap made his money. I would still stick by them even as he passed. But I will say this, a lot of people make money like that and hoard it all to themselves.
Yep.
They keep it all. They keep their arms wrapped tight around it. You can't have any. Later in his life, I don't know what really was the difference, what was the tipping point, but it became a very real mission in his life and his wife's life to donate back to higher education and to Florida State specifically. So I could never fault him for that. He gave, it had to be, it's $20 million just documented in the last few years that he gave to Florida State. $20 million. That's nuts. That's crazy. And, heck, his name's on half the stuff on the campus, so he will always be remembered at Florida State.
All right, man.
By the way, real quick, did you see Jalen Ramsey caught a touchdown pass in the Pro Bowl?
I heard. I didn't see it though.
Yeah, no, I don't care about that, but I guess I don't know if FSU football was there because they had 2 guys in the Pro Bowl.
They were.
But on the field after the game, did you see that clip of Derwin and Jalen?
No. They hug or something?
No, they're walking off the field, and they look right into the camera and go, DBU, the real DBU. And then
Nice.
Jalen looks in the camera and goes, hey, FSU, anybody thinking about anybody being recruited by FSU, why aren't you going? What are you doing?
Nice.
You need to be going to FSU. I'm paraphrasing because I don't, I'm just paraphrasing.
Right.
But I thought that was pretty neat. Those 2 guys, their coaches, the coaches that coached them and recruited them aren't here anymore, but they still were showing a little bit of love for Florida State and telling all the prospective recruits, man, you need to go to Florida State.
Yeah, appreciate that. Checks in the mail, gentlemen.
And who's the guy from Maryland that still isn't 100? Like, I know all the other ones have firmed it up.
Oh,
that are
Nick
coming.
Cross. Nick Cross.
Yeah. He retweeted it. The
Nice.
clip of Jalen Ramsey say, what are you doing if you're not coming to Florida State? And he retweeted it with I think it was the emoji, the 100 emoji.
Oh, yeah. 100.
So what else do you need to see, Aslan? That's as good as locked and loaded.
Yeah.
Locked and loaded. Nick Cross is coming to Tallahassee.
Hey, man, the Deion documentary is coming out Thursday. You want to hang out and watch that, or are you going to be up in Buford?
I'll be up in Buford, but I will definitely be watching it. Pretty excited about it. I can't tell. Is it just about – I don't know if it's about his life necessarily and just about the stretch and whenever that was, 92, when he was playing for the Falcons. He played for the Falcons on a Sunday and then flew up to play in a playoff game for the Braves. Like that stretch, that little window. I don't know if it's about – you'd think it would be about his whole life and like how – I mean, that's insanity. He was the starting cornerback in an NFL football game and played well because he always does. And then helicoptered or flew. He probably didn't helicopter all the way to Pittsburgh, but flew to Pittsburgh, pinch ran in a game. I remember the game. And what was funny, I do remember this too. So the one he did spoil a little bit the Sid Bream game because Tim McCarver was the broadcaster at the time.
Yeah.
And he was ripping Deion, saying he was doing it just for the publicity.
Oh, yeah, I remember Deion.
Yeah, all that. So after the game, when Sid Bream scores and everybody goes crazy and then the clubhouse celebrating, Deion keeps getting water and throwing it on McCarver.
Yeah.
Intentionally.
Yeah.
Not a great look by Deion. It was petulant and childish and dumb. Hopefully he regrets that now a quarter century later.
Doubt it.
But even still, in the World Series that year, if the Braves had won it, he would have been the World Series MVP. He had like 9 hits and 4 triples and was the best player on the Braves. They just, it was the Braves, so they lost to the Blue Jays. But, man, to think about, and he was still playing football. It's not like he was playing football. That's incredible. But it's just a shame to me that Bo Jackson was around they were contemporaries, and Bo was better at baseball. So it was almost like Deion's feats were taken for granted when we haven't seen anything like it since. It just so happens that like the 2 best athletes, maybe in our lifetimes, were both playing baseball and football at the same time. So it wasn't as special as it wasn't thought to be as special as it really was. But Deion was a good baseball player and an all-time great football player, which is incredible.
Yep. All right, man. We're done.
That it? We done?
Yeah. Michael Langston coming up right after this to talk about Cruton. You're listening to Wake Up War Chant.
You're listening to Wake Up War Chant, all Noles, every day. Now back to Corey and Aslan.
Welcome back, as promised. Time for a little recruiting update. For that, we bring in Michael Langston from warchant.com and Rivals.com, our recruiting analyst. I don't know if by the time you heard this, if Michael have slept at all for the last 72 hours, but hopefully he would have. Michael, crazy weekend, 11 official visitors in all. I guess what are your initial impressions? I mean, just by the fact that Florida State brought 11 kids on campus for one weekend.
I'm pretty impressed just on the things I've heard from the visits. It's always impressive. I mean, when a lot of people think from the outside like 11 official visitors. Like, how do you have the time to do all that? So it takes a lot of work and planning. And I was impressed how they touched on every key point with a lot of the kids. So it doesn't mean you're going to get every kid that was visiting here this weekend, but yeah, you checked off everything that you needed and you wanted to get done. And I think they just did a tremendous job. And I think it was a very positive weekend for FSU. They obviously picked up a commitment from top kicker Ryan Fitzgerald, and so I think from from Colquitt County. So I think that's big. And then I think they also made moves on a lot of key players, certainly on the offensive line and defensive line. So I think overall, I think it even went probably a little bit better than they thought it would with certain guys. But sure, everyone wants to see 5 commitments or 11 commitments from these guys when they visit. But the main thing is what you get out of the visits, and as far as the details and how kids are feeling about your program once they leave. That's kind of the goal going into these things.
Corey corrected me. I was like, people are upset that there wasn't any commitments. He's like, oh, hey, about the kicker. And I'm like, wow, I talked to the kicker. He's like, well, no, go check his Twitter. So I did see that on Sunday night he did actually go ahead and commit after he spoke to us. And you picked it out. You were like, man, something's going to happen here with him, I think, because he was very coy and kind of deflecting things. But Ryan Fitzgerald, from as you said, from Colquitt County, does commit. In your estimation of these 11 kids, so one's already in the bag now with Fitzgerald. How many more kids? I mean, from these 11 that visited, how many do you think will end up maybe becoming part of the signing class once February rolls around?
Oh man, that's really tough to say because these kids still have other visits. But I think they made a really big move with Charles Moore, defensive Rivals 100 defensive tackle. Or defensive end, whatever you want to list them as. FSU likes them as defensive tackle, but I think they made a big move there. I think there's a lot of momentum. There's a good bit of momentum, and FSU was confident before that kid visited this weekend, even though everyone told them, like, oh, you're not in the mix. It's Auburn, Florida, and stuff like that. But, I continued to hear, like, FSU felt they had a really good shot. So I think he's a guy you're going to certainly watch. I think certainly the 3 offensive linemen that all visit, I think FSU did a great job with those. But we have to see kind of, how many are you, if all 3 wanted in, are you going to take them all? It's like, I don't know if that's kind of the plan. I've always been told that they wanted to get like 1 or 2 offensive linemen in high school and then get like 2 or 3 grad transfers. So we have to figure that stuff out. But, I think certainly with Darius Washington from West Florida and Pensacola, Florida, they did a great job there. I think if FSU wants him, I think they can pull him. And then I think with Ira Henry, that's a close battle with Auburn, but I think FSU is certainly got a great shot of pulling that off. They visit with him in home later this week. He's possibly taking a visit to Indiana or Penn State as far as the final weekend. But I think FSU is right there. If not, that's like leader for Ira Henry. And then you have the big guy, which is Kamar Bell from Colquitt County. And that's the one that shocked me the most because I really did not think I did not think he was going to come in there and say, basically, these two teams now are neck and neck because Auburn had such a huge lead that I just did not expect that. And I didn't expect how that culture and that chemistry that FSU has with the visitors, and also the fact that they had such a strong need, I didn't know how much of an effect that would have on Kamar, but he obviously was greatly affected by that. He's talking about visiting FSU next week. My opinion, if that happens, then yeah, I would put him down as being in this class because good FSU back-to-back weekends. It's hard to not think that you're not going to be a part of this class. So I think there's a lot to shake down as far as this, but I think overall when you look at those things, I think FSU made a lot of strong moves, and that's the thing I got to figure out is like these numbers and how many you're going to take if you can get a linebacker, if you can get how many offensive linemen, and then see how they're going to make this happen. So I got to figure out a lot of this stuff out. But the main thing I can tell people is they made a lot of strong moves for a lot of guys where they had work to do, and FSU certainly hit a home run with a lot of these guys.
Michael Langston, recruiting analyst for WarChant.com and Rivals.com, joining us here on Wake Up WarChant. Man, I know you're super busy, so we'll try to get you going. I guess the last sort of question for me, I think that people probably want to know about or need to know about is obviously the quarterback position. Lance Legendre, again, Lance, if that's not the way you pronounce your last name, I'm sorry. I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm just trying to piece it together. I know you were able to catch up with him for a few minutes before he caught his flight out of town. Where do you think things stand with Florida State's recruitment in Lance, and what do you think he wanted to get from this visit? What was the most important thing for him to take away from the visit, and do you think he got it?
I think the main thing for me was not that. I mean, Lance has already visited FSU before. He went there last year, and he's always liked FSU. They've recruited him probably longer than anybody's recruiting him right now, over a year and a half. I think the main thing that I was looking for is the relationship he had with Kendall Briles and how Kendall Briles has pitched to him of what the offense is going to be if that fits what Lance likes. And everything Lance told us, it certainly clicked, and it got him excited, and he seemed excited talking about it. And I think too, I think it was telling when Lance would told me, hey, I've watched what Coach Briles does. I know what he did with RG3 when he was at Baylor, and so he did some study on this guy. So that tells you, the interest level is more than just a little bit. I like this guy. So I think FSU is in the driver's seat there with Lance. I think the only question for me is I haven't heard a correct confirmation that he's good to go yet on grades. So I think that's really the thing. I think the main thing I've heard is that he needs to finish strong, and that's kind of what Coach Taggart's message was to him. So I don't know for a fact of where he stands with that, but the fact that they brought him in, that kind of tells me they feel there's a plan to make it, even if he has a little work to do. But that's the only way I can see him not going to FSU. I know he's visiting Maryland, and shockers happen all the time, that maybe something shocking can happen if you go to Maryland, but I just get the feeling that Lance likes FSU so much, and he likes Briles so much. It's just hard to see right now, just the way this thing's been going for so long, that he wouldn't pick FSU if everything's on the even keel and everything looks good with his grades. I just can't. It'd be hard for me to see him pick anybody but FSU right now.
Folks, check out all of his work, Michael Langston's work, over on the premium recruiting board at warchant.com. Use the promo code WARCHANT30 to join and get the very latest on Florida State recruiting and everything else under the sun. Michael and I will be live streaming on Wednesday. We'll take your questions. I'm sure we'll probably get you back on the show on Friday to talk about the upcoming Junior Day and everything. The grind don't stop, Michael. The grind don't stop, brother. We'll talk to you later.
It starts February 6th a little bit, but this is what I live for. So this is what I do, and it's going to get cranked up. We got another visit weekend next weekend. Got the Junior Day, so it's going to be a lot of stuff, and we're going to have a lot of stuff on War Chant. We already have my wrap-up of Mill from this weekend, going through stuff I'm hearing and stuff I've heard from the visit. So really a good time to sign up for War Chant if you aren't already, and it's going to get even busier next week.
Check it out, folks. For Michael Langston and Corey Clark, I'm Aslan Hajavani. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you later.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.